guys, welcome back to the channel. This is vlog number 10. We're in the double digits today. I'm very excited. We're back where it started. I thought I'd come back to Glencoe and film the bits that I forgot to film last time. There's tons of cars today. I don't know what's going on. It's a Sunday afternoon. Everyone's out for a Sunday drive. The aim of the game here is to follow the light today. So just now I've literally come to Loch Achtriochtan, I think it's called. And I'm shooting the Black Mountain, which is the very first photograph I took on my last Glencoe video. So I'm trying to recreate some of them in completely different conditions because it's very sunny, as you can see. It's raining just now actually, which I didn't expect. We weren't really forecasting any rain today. We're forecast for clear skies and sunny spells all day today. So because of this harsh sunlight behind me, I'm hoping I'm going to stay for later because there's a lot of misty cloud about, which I'm hoping will get similar light to what I did when I was last year scouting. I'm hoping because of this really harsh light that we'll get some really beautiful contrasty deep shadows, and obviously not blown out highlights, but deep shadows to get some nice black and white images from this particular location. We're shooting at f8, 250th of a second, ISO 100. And for this particular photograph I want to try and do a panorama as well, so like I did last time. So we're recreating a lot of shots but very different conditions, so we'll see where the light's going to take us today. But look at that view. It's absolutely gorgeous, even though it's raining. I've come down to one of Glencoe's most famously photographed images. This is Etive Moor behind me. I don't know if you can see it. If you can't see it, it's up there. At probably just after midday, it's about 1 o'clock just now. I want to come down just now and I'm going to come back later. The reason I'm here just now is because I wanted to talk about when I'm planning a location shoot anywhere, it's all dependent on the light for that day. So the light has to have potential, as I've mentioned in previous videos, but I think also what's important is that it has to be a certain type of light, and at this time of day it's usually very harsh, and as I said before, that's good for black and white, very sort of contrasty images if that's what you're looking for. But for me, I'm kind of planning shoots out based on what type of light I'm looking for. So today I'm looking for very soft light, similar to what I had in the scouting video that I quickly posted on my Instagram feed. Looking for sort of pre-sunset glows again coming through these clouds, but this is the same type of light that we had the last time I was here, and I'm quite hopeful that that means that we're going to get that really lovely diffused glow coming from the back of this mountain again. So my plan is to come back in a few hours time. I'm going to go for a scout down to Glen Etive. There's a waterfall down there I want to have a look at, and for that type of light it's fine because I know just now the light will be harsh out there. But what I'm going to do is use that dappled light to pick out bits of the landscape that I want to highlight. Last time I was here there was a really nice sort of fine art shot that I got, and it was a tree with a sunbeam coming down as well. So the aim of the game is basically to get around to Glen Etive and try and find out bits of the landscape that we can highlight with some of that dappled light. At Loch Achtriochtan. This is also the place where I took my wee house at the bottom of the huge mountain range photograph. I've taken that picture twice now. Once was about sunset and it had this beautiful purple sky. Yeah, so this is one of those things I was talking about how you have to sort of wait for your light. I probably won't wait here very long because it's very cold. I'm under a bridge. I think there's like a tunnel effect going on, so the wind's just whooshing through here. Right, I need to be very quick here because we're just off the main road with the 82, which is up there, so I'll try and keep this close to me so you can hear me. This is Buachaille Beag, which is Etive Moor's little brother, but as you can see it's still fairly spectacular. I've managed to find a lock-in just off the main road, which I've never been to before, and it gives you the most spectacular reflections of Etive Beag. So I'm just waiting for the wind to calm down a little bit so I can try and get a more clearer shot. As you can see behind me, there's some blue skies and the sun is directly behind the mountain, so I'm trying not to shoot at the moment because it's far too harsh, it's far too, the mountain's just complete blackness just now, so there's not really any point, but we'll just keep waiting for that wind to drop. And just like that, the rain's coming back on again. Yeah, welcome to Glencoe, it's always like this. So I'm shooting at f9, 160th of a second. Literally it's just a straight reflection shot, it's absolutely gorgeous. The wind hasn't died down as much as I wanted it to, but it was enough to try and get something in the water. You can see a little bit of it in Beag in the water. As I'm waiting, the mountains just to the side of it have just lit up. The thing about this place just now is it is hoaching with tourists. Like they're literally in nearly every single picture I've tried to take, so we're going to go down Glen Etive and hope it's a wee bit quieter down there. Welcome to Glen Etive. This is about halfway down the road. We've stopped at the sort of waterfall. I've passed by this waterfall many times. I've never actually stopped and had a look at it. It is stunning. It's kind of like a perfect spot for whitewater rafting and kayaking and stuff. There's a few kayakers up the road just now. I don't know if they're getting in or coming out, but they look like they're having fun anyway. So yeah, I got a competition up there. I got a really, really awesome photo. I had to climb down onto the rocks of the river, or looking down onto that river. It was stunning, and you'll see in the B-roll how stunning it is. It's like turquoise water, golden rocks. I was waiting for the sun to hit the rocks just to sort of light up the foreground a little bit, and it looks phenomenal, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really, really happy that I managed to come down. But we're not done on Glen Etive. We're going to continue down to Ben Starrive. It reflects on to Loch Etive, and we're still waiting for golden hour to start. I think it's just starting now. There's a bit of sort of hazy light starting down the other end of the glen. So yeah, we'll continue down and see what we can find. And we're back at Etive Moor. It's a few minutes after sunset. I actually spent most of the sunset down Glen Etive. I managed to catch some gorgeous light on the back of Etive Moor. Obviously that's where the sun was hitting it, but I hoped that some of that light would transfer onto the clouds right here, and as you can see it hasn't. So it's just one of those risks that you have to take when you're planning shoots like this, or as it has happened today. I haven't really planned it, I've just kind of come out and chased the light wherever it's went. So but yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. There was so much potential here for pink light and it's not happened, and I'm a bit disappointed, but that's just what happens with landscape photography. Sometimes you take a risk, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, we've got some pink clouds starting. Maybe I'll hang about for 10 minutes and see if anything happens, but doubt it. But there's no any light hitting the mountain itself, that was all round the back of the mountain. So yeah, I'll hang about for 5 more minutes and see what happens. So we're back at my desk again, and I wanted to wrap up today's video here just because I wanted to talk about some of the images that I managed to capture during my road trip up to Glencoe. Glencoe is one of those locations that you really don't know what kind of light you're going to be faced with when you get there. If it's forecast to be quite cloudy, you're pretty much guaranteed grey, moody skies, a bit of mist sort of hanging about and stuff as well. But when the weather's so unpredictable, when you have sunny spells, it very rarely happens, especially when there's still snow sitting up on the mountains. It usually melts off. It seems to have a microclimate all on its own, which is also why hill walkers and mountaineers have to check the forecast sometimes on an hourly basis up there, because you don't know what you're going to get. So it was morning when I arrived, it was about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and initially we were faced with lots of sunshine, lots of clouds, with a really harsh light, and that's fine if you want to shoot. I think that sort of light probably suits black and white photographs better, which I think I said that in the video. Initially my first picture was to recreate the first panorama that I took of the Black Mount down beside Loch Achtriochtan. The Black Mount is obviously at the very beginning of Rannoch Moor, just as you're coming into Rannoch Moor and you're faced with that open stretch of road, and then you sort of start meandering around the lochs. I think the first one you come to is Loch Achtriochtan, then you come to Loch Beag, then you come to Loch Achtriochtan, which is where the Black Mount is. And that's obviously where I first started this journey 10 videos ago. So I wanted to recreate that picture and try and create a panorama. Obviously the light was completely different because we had different time of day. It also wasn't sunrise when I arrived, and there was a lot more sort of light quickly kind of sweeping over the landscape, so you're sort of faced with just trying to catch it at the moment. When I was setting up the shot, I noticed that there was a really massive bank of misty clouds which had the potential to snuff out the whole landscape, so I had to work very quickly to try and capture this picture, which is obviously, I'll put this up on the screen so you can see it better. But this picture has very beautiful soft light overlapping the mountains, but there's still enough detail in the shadows that you can see the shadows, and it still kind of gives that sort of 3D effect, which I absolutely love when you're photographing mountains. So this was a very quickly taken picture. I had to basically just frame it up, leave my tripod and pan across, get my panorama and hope for the best. So when I got it home, I was very relieved to see that it did actually work out. So that was the first picture that I got. The second picture I got was down at Loch Achtriochtan, which is near the Three Sisters End, so you're kind of heading out of Glencoe. Again, that was the second place I went to in the last video, so I thought I would try and recreate a picture down there. The only difference this time is I actually went down to the river, which I didn't do that before. I managed to climb down onto the rocks and find a couple of kind of beautiful blue rocks and slate rocks and golden rocks all kind of mixed in, so it provided the most amazing foreground, which I've never really seen that type of composition before with that loch, so I was quite happy to find something a wee bit different. That loch is famous for reflection shots because it has the most beautiful shapes coming down. It almost forms like triangular shapes in the water, so it's obviously very famous for that if you get it at the right time of day and the wind's low enough. But when I was there, it was fairly windy, so I managed to just get a picture before the tourist bus came in. I got a text message while I was down there, obviously from the drone pilot, saying tourist bus just arrived. So I had to work very quickly, but they were so quick. So yeah, I managed to get a few pictures with them in it, which actually provided a little bit of scale, which I quite liked. I made a black and white photograph with the 4 tourists sort of standing there taking the pictures, but it gives you the scale of how massive these mountains are compared to this loch and how vast it is. It's just a stunning location, so I'm definitely going to go back there at different times of the year. Right, so the other picture that I got was actually on the way back from Loch Achtriochtan up to Glen Etive. I remember seeing a picture of Buachaille, Beag, which is obviously Etive Moor's little brother, as I keep calling it, and it was reflected in a loching, and I thought, well, driving past, it's not entirely obvious where that loching is. So I just parked the car and went for a walk through the bogs and trying to find it. And I found it, and it wasn't very far, maybe about 50 yards, 100 yards away from the main car park. There's a beautiful loching, and I would imagine at sunrise it would be a stunning location because the water would just be completely still, and you'd have that light hitting Buachaille to Beag. It's a very similar shape to Etive Moor. Obviously it's not as dramatic because they call Etive Moor the herdsman, the guardian of the Highlands, and all these different names that it has because it's the first mountain that you see that has that very distinctive peak. But Etive Beag is just as dramatic when you see it. Obviously if you know Etive Moor and you've shot Etive Moor, the only places you can really get that kind of same effects in the river Etive, but you never have that
perfect reflection unless, because it's obviously fast moving water, so unless you're doing a long exposure and you're just kind of going to get the rough shape of it, it's never going to be a crystal clear picture. So this other mountain provides this opportunity to get a crystal clear image of that perfect triangle in the water, which I crave photographs like that. I love photographs like that because they're so simplistic and so beautiful, and especially if you're getting them at sunrise, I think that would be the best time of day to shoot that type of image. So obviously my whole photo shoot was kind of based around chasing different types of light at different types of day, and Glencoe provides the perfect opportunity to do that because you don't really know what you're faced with, so you plan to head to a location and kind of see what the light's like when you get there. But I always had that in my mind that if I'm going to shoot a particular subject at a different time of day, then it would obviously I try and plan for that. So if I wanted to go back to Etive Beag at sunrise, now that I know what it looks like at another time of day, I can go back and visualise it at sunrise, and it's obviously provided a much better image, which I think I will do eventually. So that's Etive Beag. While I was down Glen Etive, I didn't get the shots I initially went down to find. Obviously I was expecting it to be very harsh light around there because it was the sun was sort of moving around as it was approaching golden hour. And when I arrived, it was almost into golden hour, so we were getting some really beautiful light casting everywhere, and obviously with this cloud moving so quickly because there was a lot of wind, the light was just changing literally every single second. I managed to find a group of kayakers. They were getting changed and in and out of the water and things like that, so I thought I'd stop because obviously if there's kayakers, there's fast moving water. So I walked down to find this, and I found a bridge. Very easy to find this bridge, and I went down to the bridge with the full intention of shooting with the drone and trying to find a composition. I basically climbed down onto the rocks to try and get a picture, and I framed it up, and I took a slightly slower exposure than I would have normally shot. I also had a gradient on the top to kind of darken down the sky because it's not middle of the day, but the sun was very bright. And then I exposed for the water and then just slightly slowed it down. And I think it gives that sort of dramatic, fast moving feel that I was trying to capture. And I still managed to maintain a nice blue sky, and I managed to maintain a nice golden foreground as well, which I was quite happy about. Plus you've got the rocks that I was standing on, which kind of let you into the river. So it is a really cool photo, but I actually ended up shooting this photo, which I'll show you in a second as well. This photograph was a bit more abstract than what I normally shoot. I had a bit of a brainwave when I was looking over the bridge. I noticed that there was a perfect line split so evenly, the symmetry was perfect for the water against this golden rock, and it looks stunning. So you've got this blue, obviously blues and golds and tones and stuff like that go really well according to your colour wheels and stuff. So what I managed to do was my tripod has one of those extended necks, so I literally held on to the back of my tripod, extended the neck as far as it would go, made sure my clamp was on, and just put the camera over the bridge. And then I think I shot for about 15th of a second to get that fast moving water, but I still wanted to maintain the detail in the water, not have it all completely blurred out by the long exposure. So I managed to set it for about 15th of a second just to capture some of that detail in the water. And then it meant that because also I kept it steady, that the rocks were perfectly sharp as well. So you've got this beautiful contrast between colours, you've got this beautiful contrast between static and a moving subject as well. And I really like it. It's something completely abstract, something I don't normally shoot. But it's one of those situations where you see the opportunity and just shoot it. So I think it worked out very well. So obviously that's 5 images that I've posted to show you here just now. I actually have more from that road trip. I had an absolute bumper crop of pictures from that photo shoot. I've still to process them. I'll maybe post them on my Instagram feed so you can have a look. I'll post the details up here so you can follow that. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm glad that you're all still enjoying it. Join me next week at 6 PM for the next one. And until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.